Hey Chica.
MANNYSAENZ.
So get ready because this is going to be a long one. So get your cookies and your coffee ready because we're going to be sitting here for a while discussing some of the shadiest things that have happened to me in the whole entire history of my birth. I should actually clarify and simplify that to say a shady part of my life. So not like the whole entire time of my, history of since like I was born or since like I was like, yeah, basically since I was born to all the way now. So instead of me just like sitting here and talking, I thought maybe I can paint my nails because I've been meaning to actually paint them for a very long time. I don't know how okay my dad's gonna be okay with this, but whatever. Meanwhile, actually, I made these last night. Still so good. I'm ready. What I wanted to talk to you guys about today was my time working at my first job. And for those of you who don't know, because I mean, I feel like there might be some people who actually don't know this, besides like the only subscribers that are like my friends right now. But I actually used to work at Urban Outfitters, so we're gonna be talking shit about them right now. As I'm wearing a sweater that I bought there while I worked there, and I'm using nail polish from Urban Outfitters. So screw me. Anyways, I guess I should start by telling you guys why I started working at Urban Outfitters. Okay, so the process went like this. My ass had limited amount of money during high school, so I never worked anywhere. And at that time, I hung out with friends all the time. So a lot of my money went to either spending food or doing, activities with my friends. Yes, but I still had enough money to really hang out over the summer and like do some of the crazy things that I did. But overall, like some of the money did go, I still had enough to get me through. But my money was getting limited, and I was starting my first year at college, and if for those of you who don't know, I drive 30 minutes to my college, and it's kind of a long drive. So with that, I needed money for gas, and I also needed money to buy food while I was in slow, because bitch, I had long ass schedule. I needed somehow to, sustain myself without relying on my dad for anything. But so I applied to a few jobs, and one of those was Urban Outfitters. I think I applied to like Express and like, where else did I apply to? Oh, actually, you know what? I got the job at Express, but since I didn't have a car at the time, I didn't get the job.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Back to the main story. I actually applied to Urban Outfitters, and I applied to, I feel like, a few other places. I forgot which other. Oh, that was not a sound effect. But I applied to a few other places, one of which was Urban Outfitters. But the other ones I actually have no idea, nor do I remember, nor do I care to remember. But I applied to a few other places, and none of them ever called me back besides Urban Outfitters. Which I was actually pretty surprised, because that was the first one that I applied to, because I used to be so into them. Like, every time I would go in there, I would go into the sales section and like find myself some clothes. And yeah, I mean, I would go to the sales section, but like everything there was so overpriced, and like knowing how limited my money was, I could not afford to spend some full price stuff on some things and some fabric that I felt should have been like reduced to half price. So I would always take my ass to the sales section and hope that I would find something cute, and that other boys had bad taste in style, and that hopefully I would be able to purchase the thing that I wanted or find some cute things that I wanted. So anyways, back to what I was saying. Actually, I don't know what I was saying. So I did apply to Urban Outfitters. They called me back one day and was like, hey, so we're having this like interview thing happening at our store. Would you like to come? And I was like, sure. And she's like, save the date because it's so-and-so. It was a certain date, right? So they asked me to come in. So the date came, and I arrived there, and I was outside with a few other people. There was like 7 other people waiting. Thankfully, I wasn't the last one because there was a few other people that came later on. And we were just waiting there, until they opened the doors. So this was probably like 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning, because they opened till like 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning. So this had to be maybe around 8 in the morning. I think it was 8 in the morning. We're outside, they open the doors, we have to register and sign in. They have coffee. They had coffee. that gave me some hope that the job I was going into was actually a really good one. They had, you know, some other stuff there, like brownies or like some like bagels or some stuff like that. Wait, hold on, I have to like reposition myself. Okay. So they had coffee, they had brownies, they had like some other food, and so I was just there minding my own business, just kind of like waiting and just like talking to some other people who were intending on taking away my job. So I was being friendly and getting to know the enemy a bit closer. So upon, you know, waiting for everybody to arrive to Urban Outfitters so we can get the process ready for the group interview or whatever, they assigned us into 2 groups of 5 because I think there was 10 of us. And after we got split up, they asked us to walk around the store. So we each got a slip. Okay, for those of you who like want to know what the interview process was like, I think every Urban Outfitters is different, but the way that my store ran it was they ask you to go around the store, pick an outfit for an event that it's kind of indicated on the slip. So the slip kind of tells you like what kind of event it is. And my slip, I think, was like, you're going to a holiday party for an event somewhere, like for like a workplace, a work job, holiday event party, pick an outfit for the fall or some shit like that. So I found myself wearing a little outfit, and honestly looking back at it was kind of hideous, and I don't know how I ever got the job. I ended up getting like this like sweater and this like, oh my gosh, it's like turning out so ugly. Oh my gosh, who would have thought? Hold on, I'm like fucking it up. Okay, I can probably salvage it. Okay, there's no salvaging this. Fuck! I ended up getting like a sweater, and I ended up getting like a beanie, and I ended up getting like something else. And so I was like, okay, let me be cute and artsy. So I went to the accessory section because I know no one ever cares about accessories. So I went to the accessory section, and I actually do live myself for a few accessories because I think the accessory section, it's like so underrated. I think it's like the thing that brings your whole look together. Like, people don't know how to use it, and people just like are just kind of like ignorant about the accessory section. So I got myself a necklace as well for my outfit. Sorry, there's 2 guys. I would have been so pissed if it wasn't recording. And after like 15 minutes, we got back to our initial spot with a group of 5 people and the person who's judging our looks. We each went around, explained what we got, and we explained how we decided to pick this look and the items that we decided to get for whatever reason. I give like such a bullshit answer. It wasn't even that good. I was like, this is like, she feels comfortable yet stylish yet fashion forward, and I use this accessory, blah blah blah, whatever. Everyone else did the same thing. There was this one guy there that had no idea what he was doing while we were like walking and like looking for outfits. He was like, dude, I have no idea. I was like, honestly, same. Like, I'm in the women's section. I've never even touched the women, so it's like, how am I supposed to know what the women's section is supposed to be like? And so I went, so we were just like friends, so we were just like just talking, and so he went up and his like thing was like just as bad as probably mine. I mean, mine wasn't even that bad, but like I'm like probably being a little bit more extra than I probably should. We just went around and we were done with that process. Then my group got taken upstairs to the men's section where a manager was actually going to interview us there, and so it was like a moon crescent shape situation, and I sat in the middle because I knew that if I sat in the edge that they were going to call me first, whatever it was. So luckily the interview actually did go as the way I planned it, so it went from end to end, and I always had time to think about it. My responses were so good. When I tell you, like, they were actually like, not even typing myself up, they were so good. There's this one girl that was there, and she was like trying to be like as smart, whatever the fuck, like as with her responses, and she was like pretty good. Like, her responses were pretty good too, but not as good as mine. So some of the questions included like, tell us a time where you've helped or tell us a time about your customer service and how you help someone out, or what you expect to work to be like. Or another question was like, tell us about what is your favorite brand, and for what reason. And so I had no idea. The first thing I said was like, I saw the Herschel backpacks. I was like, Herschel, you know why? Because I can haul my ass to the mountains whenever I need to. It's the one and only Digo Double G. Brands I knew after I started working there. Some other questions I didn't even forget. I just remember that they just like talked about a few times. Oh, and like, what do you think is like what's a piece that everyone needs in 2000 or in the winter of 2018? Because this was like winter coming up. And I don't even know what I said. I think I said accessories, like people should just like, or rings, I don't know. Some other people came out with some bullshit answers that people had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. So the interview process ended and let us go, and then maybe like a few days after, 2 days after, you would get a call if you got the job or not. And by the looks of it, after my first day, it seemed like everybody got the job that went to the interview. Actually, there was like probably 2 people who didn't, but most of the people in my group got a job, and then one of the girls decided that she wasn't gonna work there anymore because I think she was moving back to San Francisco or whatever the hell. The first day, so then they told me, okay, so your first day is gonna be this date. And you know what? I was so excited when I got the call. I was like, thank you so much. Like, I was never so hyped. I felt like I had actually accomplished something. And this is at a time when I was finding and realigning myself again because I was going through college and I had like no like solid foundation going to college because I didn't stay in the dorms like everybody else did. So for me, having like this like build up like really helped me out, you know, just like hearing that you like got a job, it's just, I don't know, it's just really exciting. So the day came and I got ready and I tried to look really cute. My work was actually 30 minutes away, so it's in the same town as my college is, which is 30 minutes away. And my dumbass, so I worked, my shift was at 1 to 4. So my thought process was, oh my gosh, like why don't I just leave at 12:30 and I'd get there at 1. When it comes to your first day, you should at least be 15 minutes early. At least for me, like now knowing this, like you should be at least 15 minutes early your first day to work. Especially knowing that on the freeway there might be traffic. And girl, oh my gosh, there was traffic. The house, there was so much traffic. Like I was stressing out. I was like freaking out. Luckily, I like speeded my way up. There was no cops. And this is actually a disclaimer. Like I do not support, you know what I'm saying. So I got off of the wrong exit and I got off of the exit that had so much traffic downtown. Like out of all the days, this was probably like, I think it was like, what day was this? This was like Veterans Day and there was so many people, so overwhelmed. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry. I'm like, oh my. And then I had to find parking. I ran from the parking structure all the way to the store. And luckily I made it 4 minutes after the fact. I mean, if you want to call that luck, but I mean, it could have been worse with all the stuff that I was dealing with. Like I could have actually gotten there way later and I probably would have been fired on the spot. But then I got there, I pretended to kind of cry and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, it'll never happen again. They just took me upstairs again and this was during a time when like the store was open. So it was just like the way that Urban Outfitters does it is they just train you. They don't really have you look at videos. The best way to learn the stuff is by actually like getting shown and actually doing it. So I spent like 2 hours with one of the managers who is in charge of like opening the store, and she like taught me all the things that I needed to know, like how like people are bitches in the fitting room and how people always want to steal, how to be careful with stealing, how to fold clothes, yada yada, you know, just like the basic retail things that they like tell you to like know, and how to actually be a good customer and they smile and look them in the eye. After the 2 hours I got my break, and then after the break someone else had taught me or was teaching me to how to work the fitting rooms downstairs, because the fitting rooms downstairs and the fitting room in the men's section is different. And so I was there with like one of the sweetest girls ever. And honestly, it was a bit intimidating. Like I had no idea how I was doing. Like I was worried like something was gonna pop out of my ass. Like I wasn't sure if there was like something was gonna go wrong. I was like a bit scared. And this is like a lot of college girls, so like for them to like come up to me and be like, hey, here's my clothing, like like fold it, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like okay. And so I wasn't ready for that. Like this is my first retail job. Like I don't know if I'm doing a good job or whatever. Like I know I'm a friendly person, I just don't know if I'm actually coming out friendly, because I've told like my RBF actually is really strong. I continued to do that, and then my shift finally came to a close. Got to go home. I told my dad about the day, and that was that. So then I had to end up calling the store a few times in the first few weeks because I had to check what days I was working, because apparently like they don't tell you, like there's like a schedule, but like you're supposed to know from like the Facebook group page, and that was just so unnecessary because at that time I didn't have Facebook, so they made me re-download it and make a Facebook again. And so I like ended up getting my Facebook back, and they added me to the group chat after like a month. I was calling for like 3 weeks consecutively, and sometimes they would put me on hold and they would hang up. Most of the time they actually had me working in the men's section, at least at the beginning, and then like there was times where they would make me work in the women's section, and it was all cool. It was actually all kind of like fun and dandy. Like it was fine. Like the first 3 months I really worked hard. Like I actually like I'm a pretty lazy person, so for me to actually like try to have everything neat and be impressive like was really surprising. I ended up almost like getting fired a few times because I would be late. shocker, I actually forgot that my shift was at a certain time. So then they sent like 2 voicemails and like, hey Manny, like, where are you? I was like, in the afternoon, I'm helping my dad. My voice was so hoarse, so it was kind of obvious that I had just woken up. And so this was within the 3 months, so I really like tried to redeem myself. And maybe I set a bad precedent already since the beginning. Like I was probably late like 2 times.
Maybe it was 2 times. Don't think it was 3 times. Can't be more than 4 times.
I don't know. I was basically late quite a few times. So 4 to 12 months area, because I worked there for a year. I was actually still in the same places, just working up in the fitting rooms. I was working up in the men's section. They had me do backstock. So there's like different positions that they have you do. I was never cashier, but I always just was like bored. And like, I know it's like work, but I was just like always so bored sometimes. And like the people were so cool. Like I actually really, really love the people. Like the people there are actually really, really amazing. I actually really got along with a lot of the people there. I was like the youngest person there at the time. Like I was 18 and then like I turned 19. So I was like really one of the youngest people there. The reason why I quit was because it was like a 30-minute drive. Like I already had to drive like 30 minutes away from school, but on the weekends and over the summer where like I didn't have to go to school, drive to school 30 minutes away, I had to still drive all the way to San Luis Obispo 30 minutes away, and it was just kind of inconvenient for me. Another reason why I quit was because I felt like I wasn't even growing with the brand. Like they had me do the fitting rooms all the time, and at that point I was just getting so tired cleaning up after some bitches like just like mess. Like there would be times, and get this, like there are people who leave the stuff on the room unattended with the hangers there. Like people don't get it. Like every time I always got something and I tried it on, I always made sure to make it look like it always, you know, was like put back in its place. No, these people had no regard to that. Like people did not care like at all. And I was like supposed to be like the person, like obviously they're like, oh well, he works here, like they can like yes, of course, like I work here, but you can't just be like kind enough to like actually like make an effort to put them back in the right spot. And oh, you know what's even more frustrating is that there'd be some people who actually went in with like 17 things, like a crazy amount of items, and then they would come out with like none of them. I'd count them back and they're like, oh, not today. And I'd be like, okay, have a good day. And it was just like honestly baffling, like to actually sit there and see people being raised like this. Like it was like so crazy. And that was like, I mean, that wasn't a reason why I quit, because like I can like deal with that stuff. It was just kind of annoying. But I think that a lot of things just like kind of did add up, and I was just like so tired. A big part of like working in like the fitting rooms is you have to put the things in a certain way. Like there's a certain way that you have to put the items, and that was like whatever, it was like tedious. Like all of that retail stuff is just really tedious, and like I don't mind it, but I just like over time it just like got really like annoying. Then also there's when you're not doing anything and there's no customers, they have you tag things so that you have like these little black things so people won't steal them. There'd be times where I would go into the fitting rooms and there'd be things that were there. So I almost got fired a few times because if you're the one monitoring the fitting rooms and you get a few things stolen, you're gonna get written up. If you come to work late, you're gonna get written up. And there's like a few other things that you get written up for. And then just like the manager was just honestly like, she was sweet. Okay, how to explain this? She was okay, like she was nice. She just, I feel like, and I connected with her somewhat, but like I feel like there's room for improvement as a leader of a store like Urban Outfitters, which is like usually popping all the time, to be a bit better. And I just felt like she didn't really like care for me as much. Like I felt like a bit like undervalued with like everybody else, and I don't want to say like it's just because of the color of my skin. Like I don't want to like point to that, but it's just like sometimes as like a person of color, you can't help that the reason that you're not up to what everyone else is at is because of the way you look. And of course, like there's not that the demographic in San Luis Obispo is like primarily white, so for me to be there, like it was just like a different story. But you know, I stuck to the goal of working there for a year, and I was really proud of myself. And despite them being pissed off, I can't make up my mind if I'm pissed off. You know what? I'm gonna go right now to the work and can go confront them right now about what happened.